Hey there everyone. Today we are going to swatch out the 72 watercolors from Van Gogh, which are on this awesome dot card set. If you're unfamiliar with dot cards, basically most manufacturers, but not all, of watercolors will have a dot card you can purchase, and it's just a dollop of each color, and then some will give you all the information while others will just give you a name. But like in this case, Van Gogh provides you with the pigment number, their internal number, light fast rating, the name, and then also it looks like their transparency rating is on here. It does say in the sidebar here that it should show granulating, but I'm looking real quick to see if I see a G. I don't see, excuse me, so sorry. Oh, the G right here for granulating. So, yeah, so this one does give you a lot, but what's nice is I highly recommend if you are looking to buy watercolors, you buy the dot cards. A tube of watercolor will last you a really long time, but the problem is if you hate that color, you just wasted money on that. Most of the big name brands are going to have dot cards. Van Gogh here, as you can see, Winsor & Newton and Daniel Smith both have dot cards. I was able to get a Holbein dot card. Now that was created by a private seller. So even brands that normally don't release dot cards, you may be able to get their dot cards from a private seller who sits there and makes them. So yeah, this is a way for you to kind of test out the colors, how they look. Now you can swatch them onto your own paper, like just get the dot wet and move it onto your own sketchbook. But I like to just keep it here in the dot chart, and then I kind of use this as a quick reference when I'm going to purchase. One thing to note about this Van Gogh one is this is not watercolor paper. So some companies will put their dots on watercolor paper, others do not, and this is definitely not. It's just a cardstock. But it'll give me an idea of how the color looks, and that's what I'm aiming for here more than anything else. And I can still, there will be plenty of dot left after I swatch. I could go back and pick up more paint and put it on my swatch book and see later if it's one I'm really interested in. And then you can also use this kind of like a little checklist, you know. Oh, I bought that one, check it off. So, I am sick. But I will do my best to not cough in your ear and make this nice and relaxing. And I am going to, I must say the dot card thing here is a little, I'm going to fold it back so it stays out of my way. There we go. All right, so let me readjust my camera just so you can see these rows, and we will start. Because these are such tiny little squares in area, I'm just going to use my Princeton Nep2 size 8 round. A big brush, which is what I prefer to play with, would just be too much for these little areas that I'm working in. All right, I will show you a few in real time. I like to just dollop a little water off my brush onto the dot, and then what I'll do is I'll do the rest to music and speed it up. And then we can talk about the colors after they have dried. And the reason I'm just dolloping water here is because I want to reactivate the color. It's a dry little dot, hence the name dot card. And some paints just don't reactivate quickly, so it's better to just add a dollop. They make theirs kind of awkward by putting it right in the center, don't they? Most companies will put it off to the side so you can kind of just drag it, but they're like, no, let's put it right here in the middle. All right, so here's their Chinese white. I'm just kind of mixing up the dot so I can kind of see. Obviously, there's not much to see there, but that is a transparent white, whereas this one here, correctly named opaque white, is going to be more opaque, which you can already see the difference. Titanium Buff, which is an opaque color. It says PW6, so I'm not surprised that it's opaque. And PBR7. Oop, some of my opaque white is hanging out with it. Well, they move real easily, that's for sure. Okay, Permanent Lemon Yellow. This one you'll actually be able to see. So this is PY184, so it's a pure pigment. Again, this is cardstock, so I'm not gonna judge it too much. I just kind of want to get a feel for the color. That's a really nice color. Okay, Transparent Yellow Medium. Now this is PY128. Just kind of like to put it around there and fill out the square, and see how I still have a bunch of dot left to move onto my actual paper if I'm really considering that color. It's not bad, but I already have like this lemon yellow. I think I like the Daniel Smith one better. Okay, Azo Yellow Light. Now this is semi-opaque. It is PY154 and PW6, so that's where the opacity is coming in, is that PW6, which is what opaque white is. PW6 goes by a few different names depending on the brand, but it is an opaque white tint. This Azo Yellow Medium is semi-opaque, but it also has, this is very interesting, they have a lot of colors with PW6 in them. This is PY154, PW6, PO62. Azo Yellow Deep is PY154, PW6 again. So these are, and PO43. All right. Ooh, gamboge. I always love saying that word. PY154 and PO48. It's a pretty color. Okay. So yeah, what I'm going to keep doing is I will now speed this up, put on some nice meditative music, and you can watch me swatch the rest of these, and then we'll come back and chat about them when they're actually dry, because that's honestly when it's going to matter, is how do these look dry. So I will be back. These are all dry. My page is curled because one is not watercolor paper, but two, when you use I use my Ranger heat tool, so that tends to make things curl anyway. So one interesting thing I was noticing while I was swatching is, so their light fastness is, if you get 2 plus signs, it's 25 to 100 years under museum conditions. 3 plus signs is 100 years, and quite a few of these are 3 plus. So I found that kind of interesting. Now, I'm going to zoom in, but I just wanted to kind of show you the chart, how it looks in its completion. And yeah, as you can see, I have quite a bit of paint, and some dots were like really random, like this one in the corner here, up here. So I was like, ah. And then the amount of paint in some dots, like these yellows up here, I barely have a blip, but like I've got a big dollop of indigo, and so I just found that kind of funny. But let me zoom you in enough to where we can see these colors. Okay, so let's make sure it's okay. So the whites, I mean, are, well, white. I'm not really seeing anything special here, and I already have both of these pigments in other brands. When it comes to the yellows, it's actually not too bad of a color range, but again, I have all of these from other brands, whether it be my Roman Schmalls, Daniel Smith. None of these like jump out at me as like, oh, I want to add that to my collection. So yeah, unfortunately the yellows are kind of a flop for me. Not that they're bad, they're just not going to work for me. Now here's where you can see this is cardstock and not watercolor paper, is just how, I'm going to zoom out just a little, just with how the watercolor left rings and whatnot. These ones here weren't too bad. The Naples Yellow Red, I was kind of curious to see how that came out. I don't really like how it came out though. Now when we get into the reds, I really, really like their Madder Lake Deep. It's very pretty, very luscious. Their Madder Lake Light, I also like. Their Permanent Red Deep was okay, but it didn't like wow me. I have some other reds I prefer. Their Carmine over here though is really pretty. I like this one. I might end up grabbing that. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I love quinacridones, but I actually don't like their quinacridone rose. So I wasn't super impressed by it. Same with their regular rose. That one didn't wow me. I do like this Permanent Red Violet though. It's absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous color. This Permanent Blue Violet, again, absolutely beautiful. I do like this Quinacridone Purple Red and their Quinacridone Purple Blue. Both of those are gorgeous. I'm definitely going to be buying those. The lavender has PW6. I try to avoid paints with PW6. If I want to add white and make mine opaque, I'll do it myself. So, and it's just not very lavenderish to me. I don't know. And you can definitely feel the opacity and the chalkiness that comes from that PW6 with it. Their Ultramarine Deep is really nice and vibrant. I don't mind the Cobalt Ultramarine here, but again, it's got the PW6, so yeah. The Cerulean Blue Phthalo, I was kind of bummed. It has PW6, but it is pretty. It's just, you can feel, it feels chalky. So I probably won't end up getting that one. Now the Phthalo Blue, the Prussian Blue, and the Indigo are all very pretty. They re-wet really well. And I've got extra dollops, so I can go put these in my sketchbook and play with them. I love these ones here. Very pretty colors. This turquoise blue as well. I really liked that one. It's PB15 and PG7, but look at that color. It's lovely. So yeah, I did like that one. Their turquoise green wasn't anything spectacular. I have a few from Winsor & Newton and Roman Schmal that I like better. The permanent yellowish green was okay. I do like that it has that light, you know, grassy green spring color to it. The hooker green light, and then we have hooker green deep. I actually prefer the deep. I'd rather buy the deep and then just lighten it up with water. Now, obviously, the thing you need to keep in mind is these are the same pigments, but it's just the concentration of the pigment, which makes this one naturally lighter right out of the tube and darker. I would rather just buy this one and lighten it with water. But I do like that color. Their permanent green was all right. Nothing that I would probably buy, though. I do like their Viridian and Phthalo green. Both of these were really pretty. I like their sap green a lot. I'm a sucker for sap greens. I like to try them in different brands, and I really do like the earthiness that this one has. I really like this olive green as well. It has a very pretty earthy tone. I love it. This one that I can't say, azomethine green yellow, I actually really like. It's PY129. It's a pretty color, and it would really work well in mixes too. The yellow ochre is okay. You know, nothing like woohoo. The raw sienna did not want to activate, so I don't know if that's really what that color should look like. The raw umber, really pretty, but you know, I have quite a few raw umbers. The burnt sienna and light oxide red, I actually really liked both of these. Now, they're the same pigment, so you always got to be careful when you're seeing like the same pigment number, you know, or you see paints of the same name. You got to keep in mind, you know, how are these made? But, you know, if I had to pick, I'd probably end up just getting the light oxide red. I really like that one. I like their burnt umber. It's very pretty. Their sepia is really nice. It does granulate a little, and I don't know if it's just this cardstock, but it doesn't say it's a granulating color, but it sure had that reaction. A tinge of granulation. The Van Dyke brown, I do like, but I have quite a few, and they seem to look about the same. I really dig their Payne's Gray and their neutral tint. This neutral tint is pretty cool. I'm probably going to get that. I'm probably going to get this Payne's Gray. I like it. It's more on the bluish side. Some are not. This one's definitely on the bluish. The Davies Gray I didn't really care for. It is a granulating color, it says. But I didn't like the way that one came out. Okay, their Oxide Black, which is PBK11. Not bad, actually, but I have a ton of PBK11s and ones that I like better. Their Ivory Black, which is PBK9, not bad again, but I don't use a lot of black in my paintings, so not really something I'll jump at. Now, these are the specialties. The Dusk set, I have actually already bought 3 of these because I just knew I would like them. Dusk Pink, Dusk Violet, and Dusk Green, all granulating, by the way. Let me get them up there a little closer. See that granulation? Oh, it's luscious. Now, all of them have PBK11, so they basically are mixed here, and then that's where you go. But Dusk Yellow is the only one, the Lone Ranger. I haven't bought that yet because I was waiting to swatch it on my dot card, and I like it. It's like a really dark, almost evil green. So I think I'm gonna buy that one. But these are great. I already have the tubes of these. I knew I would love them. Very beautiful colors. They're going to go in my granulation palette. Now, the metallics, not only did these not want to activate, like I kept pausing, getting some more water, and I'm like, come on. I mean, I don't really, if I'm going to buy metallic watercolors, I usually buy handmade ones on Etsy, you know, for fun, but I was not impressed with these. They did not reactivate, and like all I could get out of them was like pitiful. Graphite was about the only one I could get to activate, and it's actually a cool color. Now their interference colors, I really have zero interest in these, but they all are mixed with PW6. Again, not a ton though, so they're only semi-opaque. That said, these did not want to activate. I could not get the other colors to come out at all. So they have a nice shimmer to them. You can kind of see it on the dot itself and a little bit on the swatch, but these would look better obviously on black paper. But I have zero interest in buying these simply because I can get a cheap set that has these colors, and I don't need them in artist grade. So yeah, quite a few here that I would purchase, or I'm going to purchase. Me being me, even if I already own, say, a sap green with these same pigments, I will buy it from different brands because I like to see how it feels from each brand. You can have a paint that is the same pigments, the same name, all that. It's still going to react differently. My sap green from Daniel Smith versus my sap green from Winsor & Newton versus this one, there is a difference if you swatch them all together. Sometimes it's very slight with colors. Other times it's really obvious. You'll be like, whoa, that one's leaning really yellow, or vice versa. So there's some colors that I just like always purchase. And those are sap greens, olive greens, indigos, Prussian blues, and phthalo blues. And then typically anything that's quinacridone, because I want to play around with them. I just love quinacridones. I have yet to find one I don't like. So there's quite a few on here that I'm going to purchase, but this was a fun way to test out these colors. I'm glad I did, because I actually almost bought their permanent lemon yellow, and I'm glad I did not, because I don't like it. It's really yellow. Can I water that down? Sure, but I like my Daniel Smith one better. So yeah, this is how I figure out what colors I want to buy from a company. And the nice thing is Van Gogh gives you this nice little sheet, so you can pop this on, fold it over, and then you can stick it in your, I have like a whole filing system of just dot cards, so I can go back and then I check mark off the ones I bought and kind of go from there. So let me know if you have any of these Van Gogh colors, what you think of them, what's your favorite that was swatched today. And yeah, until next time, everyone, take care. Bye now.